Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve, and yes, once again we're in Dark Souls 2. I need to make a Dark Souls 1 video, but I have become obsessed with modding Dark Souls 2 again, because of course this is my second Sen mod that is built on Dark Souls 2 lighting engine mod, which of course rips out the entire rendering engine of Dark Souls 2 and replaces it with a incredibly modern rendering engine, including volumetric fog and better texture filtering, better tessellation, better everything. Everything you could imagine. It's better with DS2 lighting engine. And so I also manually added grass and enabled the dynamic shadows and upscaled the textures and just so many things. And part of that is I'm now making new specular maps for the armor itself. And so I've actually gone through in the Emerald Herald. I've remade her specular maps. Because by default, the specular map is what controls essentially just the easy way of thinking about it is the specular map is what controls the armor looking shiny. That's essentially, it's more complex than that, but that's the easy way. And they were commonly half resolution of the albedo texture, which is the color texture or the diffuse texture, or whatever you want to call it, but it's the actual thing you see, right? Which probably also doesn't make sense, and then the normal map is what adds like the little bits of depth and the crevices and so those three things combine together to get surfaces in modern games. Of course, they sometimes split them off into reflectance or shininess, and they're not necessarily bundled into one, thing called a specular map. But in Dark Souls 2's case, yes, it is. Yes, they were half the resolution of the albedo textures, and so by upscaling the albedos to 2 times resolution, you can then remake the specular maps in Photoshop, because specular maps can be made in Photoshop. Normal maps, that's more difficult. Normal maps, I still need like a program to generate those because they are very complex with how those work. But specular maps, you can literally just take the albedo texture and craft fantastic specular maps from those, and messing with the levels and using the darken and lighten options. That's actually how I make them, is I go over them manually. Because in lighting engine, you can go into your editor mode here. You can actually click on the armor you want, and you can see they have the albedo texture, and you hit create texture overrides for the first thing if you haven't dumped the textures at all. Which dumping you can do in like a broad manner where you can dump all of the textures that are being like used in the game. I don't do that. I basically, for the entire mod, I have gone through every single individual thing, and I've missed some things, don't get me wrong. I've gone over almost everything. And I've, made new roughness maps for a lot of the surfaces that didn't have specular maps. But for the armor, you click on it, you go boom, okay, and then you actually go over into the text override folder, and this is all while the game is running, which is my favorite part of it. But basically, you can use the fingerprint names, the texture's name here, and you can search for the armor set in question, which here we go. This is the main chest piece albedo texture, and then we have a specular map as well. And so let's click on that. 1, 2, 3, 62. So the fingerprint names are basically the identifiers for the textures. So and obviously they're super long, so it can encompass all of them. So let's open up the specular map. And so by default, this specular map was actually 1K resolution, while the albedo texture was 2048 by 2048, so 2K. And by upscaling from 2K to 4K for the albedo texture, it means we can now make a brand new, this is the brand new one I've made. Okay, so we've brought up the albedo texture here, and then here's the specular map that I made from scratch. Because you can basically grab whichever one of these channels. I'm also learning that there's not like a perfect way of making specular maps. I guess for me, I just always assumed that someone had just cracked it and like here's the method everyone should use. And that's not really true. It depends on your vision for the texture, which sounds so stupid. But basically, you can grab that channel from the albedo, you go back to this, and this is usually 1K resolution. And so what I would do is then go to resize, you resize it all to 4K, and you might be thinking, oh my god, isn't that going to just make it really blurry? And it's like, yeah, but I'm rewriting all of that information. None of that information is kept, because I'm doing it from scratch. And basically, you would copy the channel you just copied, you copy the channel you just copied, yeah, and you paste it here, and then you can start to make edits. Basically, where red is shininess, from what I've understood, and green is the more metallic portions. And so you can see how you make you can actually do levels edits to make things darker if you want to do it in that way. You can also go like this and pump up the highlights a little bit, but you don't want to lose detail. So that's also kind of where you stop. And then once you do that, you can also go back and like darken some of the areas. Like this cloth down here is the bottom part, and I didn't want that to be as reflective, so I was going in, and you can kind of use the darkening feature to darken that on the metallic channel, and then you can go back and you can see that the this channel has the cloth a little bit brighter, but that's the shininess, and you can darken the metal on the shininess part, because that's more glossiness than metallic sheen, and we obviously want to balance between the two of those. So it's essentially just playing around with that. And I've learned that the blue channels, they seem to, you can see it actually does have some information in the blue channel here, which actually, yeah, let me fix that real quick, because that is odd. Okay, so that's back to what it was. Commonly, I've seen this be at like 123 out of 255 on the RGB like spectrum. But this almost seems like junk data to me. Let's see. As we just clear that out. And because I don't think that data is necessary, at least from my experience playing around with this kind of stuff. I was trying to see if it like changed at all. Yeah, I think it's like junk data. So I don't think it really did much of anything. But as you can see, we can get pretty close to the armor, and you can see all the specs and the detail and like and this is all from like the original texture and the upscaler picking up on it. But you also have these really nice shadows that are being cast by the sun. Oh my god. So that was my little 8-minute nerd out session. But basically, let's just walk around. Like, now you'll see there's some noisiness on the grass. That is because, well, I placed a fuckload of grass, and it's hard to anti-alias that. So partially you're just gonna get a little bit of like noisiness around it, because we're using DLAA, and then we're even using MSAA on top. So you can see how MSAA actually helps alias around the grass and gives it a little bit more darkness at like the root of the grass, a little bit more ambient like shadowing, which I think makes it look a little bit better. If we go to 4 times MSAA, basically you can kind of mess with the MSAA up until the performance isn't good anymore. Because I think now you can see we're going to start dropping a little bit of frames below 60 FPS, because I am pushing the graphics card hard in Majula. Majula is probably the most demanding singular spot in my mod. But I think it's worth it. Like, I think it looks amazing. And you know I hate to like toot my own horn. I think it's because I'm Midwestern. that's not in our nature. But I think it looks insane. I will be going through and sort of like pruning back some of the grass, as there's some grass that was like double placed by accident, so I will be going through and fixing that. But I just think it looks stunning. I'm so happy with it. I still have more tweaks to make, because of course I'm never done. But I've just been having so much fun playing the game, if I'm honest. Like, that's part of why I've been modding it so much, is that I just love playing it. Let's go to Forest of the Fallen Giants. This is on a New Game Plus character. And I've never beaten New Game Plus for Dark Souls 2. Because it's the most interesting of all of the New Game Plus modes or any of the Dark Souls games. Like, it's the coolest of the bunch. And it has really cool changes and whatnot. So yeah, let's experience Forest of the Fallen Giants. I have made a new Specular map for the Ogre. I have yet to... Actually, yeah, we need to go tweak this Specular map. So I'll show you how I do that. Okay, yeah, use your little hollow fucking move. I like the one-hand moveset on this weapon, and I really don't like the two-hand moveset. At all. The two-hand moveset sucks for me. Also, my performance will be slightly worse because I'm recording this on the same computer that I'm playing this, so keep that in mind, you know, with any frame drops. But generally, I get a pretty solid 60. And I have a 4060 Ti, 16 gigabyte. And, oh god. And I have a Ryzen 5700X processor, so nothing too insane. 32 gigabytes of memory, as per usual, DDR4, 3200, just normal stuff. But yeah, like the volumetric light shafts here, like come on, this is all, I had to configure this area, of course. That's what my job is with this mod, is to place grass, and then design the atmosphere, and then added all of that grass, and trees, and rocks, and set everything to be shadow casting manually. Oh yeah, we were gonna mess with his Specular map. He already looks better because he got upscaled. And I made a new Specular map, but I made it too a little too shiny, I think. Let's see if I got the right one here. Some of the characters, it's harder to grab the textures. Yep, I think I got it. Alright, let's bring up the ogres. Yes. Yes, you can see I made some mistakes here by... let's lower on the skin here. But let's keep the, like, these little parts, like these look like teeth or claws or something. Let's keep those bright, because those are shinier. And that's essentially how this works, is the brighter something is in the red channel, the more shiny that it'll be. Yeah, I don't want to crush it too far. And the nice thing is that you have some leeway. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's also something I've learned. That you're like, oh, okay. I thought that if you did even one thing wrong, it would be like, it's game over, it looks terrible. And that's actually not true. You can really mess around with this. And I'll do, I don't know how many different passes before I'm actually happy with how something looks. His eye is weird. I am noticing that. Because his eye is right here, and I have that pretty bright. And it still looks... I might have to look at the original Specular map again. Ooh, actually that might be why. So let's copy the red channel over the green to kind of essentially redo the green channel. So we'll keep that bright, because I think that might help. Now, we don't really need a lot of stuff to be metallic, so this is why the gold, or the green channel, we're gonna kind of darken shit. And I've actually found myself preferring this manual method versus like where you can do just the like broad levels edits, which I think are, you know, obviously I still do that occasionally to make sure that I'm not, you know, I don't know, that can be helpful, but I tend to like the really granular control of the burn and dodge tool. That's your best friend. Okay, so let's try that out. Let's see if that's a better mix. Man, his tongue. Yeah, his eye still looks weird. I need to look at the original to see how the eye looks, because I don't know that I've paid attention as much as that. But we'll see. Ooh, actually, hey, no, don't attack me yet. I have something to fix. Okay. Let's check this out. So this rock here looks really low quality. And I think, oh yeah, look at this. So I actually have not done, yeah, this is a rock I missed. So another thing for this mod is you can go into Scene Override, and then you can actually enable Tessellation on a case-by-case basis. So basically you can do Bezier curve tessellation or Fong. I think the Bezier curve looks a little bit better. And then you can mess with the distance of when that tessellation happens. And so you can see by enabling tessellation, it just basically becomes a higher quality looking model. That's essentially, that's the short answer. Is, aha, they have tessellated that mesh, and it will now automatically be tessellated. I'm going to save the map here. And you can see that the saving of the map takes a while now because of how many things I have going on in this map. The extra trees. Like, look how much extra grass is up there. I went hog wild. But I think it looks awesome. I will go through and delete some of that extra grass that is, like, double placed. That's on me. I already did it for, like, the bottom level here. I went and I kind of, like, you know, pruned some of the extra grass to make it look a little bit more natural. That's how my process works, is I basically will learn something new, go overboard learning it, and then slowly like chisel it down into my ideal version. So it's essentially like making the like clay stuff. Ooh, a little bit of a flicker there on the water. I don't know what that was. Yeah, his specular map looks better now. Although I'm dumb and I didn't actually show you the wrong version of it that I had made, but just assume that it now looks really good. I don't know. Man, that's like his dumbest attack. Ooh, okay, I always am gonna. I sometimes get hit by his wombo combo because I think it's not gonna reach me. Oh yeah, bitch! Soul of a proud knight. Fuck yeah, dog. Alright, let's go this way. Ooh. And then the other thing, I kind of mentioned it a little bit, is going through and making roughness maps, which are new for Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2, a lot of surfaces did not have specular maps, which I talked about earlier. And so you didn't really, a lot of surfaces were just diffuse, and you had a normal map. Sometimes you didn't even have a normal map. Now that I can't fix as much, but the roughness maps is something where basically in the albedo channel, the diffuse texture, the alpha channel was empty, like it was just white. And so a cool thing with Lighting Engine is they were like, oh, you can actually shove a roughness map inside the alpha channel. So if we actually open up this texture real quick, 7, and the cool thing is you guys can all do this on your own and make your own mod and place all your own grass, and Lighting Engine is cool that way. It's a platform for doing that, but of course there are other programs to still use. Mainly it's Photoshop. Like, realistically, Photoshop is a huge part of it, and underlying Souls knowledge is obviously part of it. So here you have your red, green, blue channels for the albedo, but we have an alpha channel, and that's where I have, you know, months and months ago, I started making roughness maps for every surface that needed it. Because basically, if a surface has a specular map already, you want to use that specular map. And in my case, I'm going to make a new, better version of that specular map. Because that's going to give you more control than a roughness map. A roughness map is basically, it's grayscale, and in this case, the brighter something is, the less rough, or the more rough it is, and the darker it is, the less rough, and therefore more smooth. That's what the roughness map is there to do. So for this surface, you can actually see when I disable the roughness map, you can see basically we get a nice specular response where before we did not. And if we actually turn off the roughness map on the larger surfaces, so here's essentially what we'd be getting by default, which is fine. You are getting the light hitting it, but it doesn't really have any material properties other than the normal map and the albedo texture. But once you turn on the specular map, or the roughness map, sorry, you can notice how, now the sun hits it, and there's a little bit of a response. I do plan to go back through and kind of re-look at the roughness maps to make sure, because I'm better at making them than I used to be. Like this wood one is a little strong in hindsight. So let's open that back up for some tape. And let's create a new roughness map. And you can kind of pick any one of these channels depending on which one has the best contrast, or depends on what you're going for. And so here, this wood surface seems a little bit smoother than your average wood surface. Oh, interesting. And then, so a key thing about the roughness maps is commonly you want to invert. You want to take the channel, put it in the alpha channel, and then invert it. That is commonly how I've had good success with roughness maps. So you could make it darker. You could up the contrast a little bit. And then we're going to use the actual dodge tool. And let's make it a little bit bigger here. And then you also have an exposure meter. So I like to go pretty gradual. And this is where you could do like a levels edit, because obviously I'm just doing it for the whole texture. But I still prefer the granular control of like this. And by doing this, you might be thinking like, oh, that's just so sloppy. And it's like, yes, I actually agree, but there's something that adds a little bit of realness to the texture because you're kind of going over it by hand like this, and so there will be imperfections. But I actually think that adds to how they can end up looking, instead of like being perfectly levels edited, you know? So we save this as BC7, not BC1. Let's see, I don't know if that... Yeah, okay, it didn't do a whole lot. I think I still have it being too bright. So if you ever do want to do just like a full-on, like, let's boost the brightness, you can just use the output levels. The input levels is more for like... you can also use that, but that will target just the bright points or just the dark points. Where the output levels are like the broad final thing. So you can kind of lift gradually. Let's do that. And then being able to do all of this while the game is still running and have it reload on the fly is just an absolute game changer. You know, it's really weird. It's not really updating much. It is interesting. All right. I don't know if it likes my roughness map. Okay. What if we go full bright? What if we go just slightly? Unless I'm doing it wrong and it needs to be darker, but no, I'm not high enough for that to be true, right? Yeah, I guess that is getting a little bit weaker, but I don't know. It still seems like it's picking up on some of these highlights way more than it should. Maybe it's the time. I mean, that's obviously the test, right? Is you do a burn tool and then you do like 70%. So basically, let's just goof. Let's just goof for a second. Let's see if that works. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I was not wrong. I was like, what the freak? Okay, so you can see it takes a little bit, but it will reload the texture eventually. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's interesting. Normally it doesn't take that long. It's a 2K texture. That's not actually that bad. Let's actually take the blue. Let's take the blue. Alright, so let's save that. It might be because this area is also one of the heaviest areas in the game. So they just rotate around, let it cook. Let it cook. This is good actually. This looks pretty good. Because I want it to be sort of smoother than your average piece of wood because a lot of people have walked on it. I don't know. It's like maybe I'm getting too cute with it, but that is my thought process for the mod. I'm obsessed with every little detail, and I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes, but I love working on it. I love Dark Souls 2. This is my love letter to Dark Souls 2. Like I've decided that. Like this is my love letter to Dark Souls 2. As much as I can do for this game, and I still have more ideas. I have tons of ideas to still keep like improving the look of this game. I added a bunch of grass up here, obviously, but the mixture of really high quality specular maps, just material work in general, is a game changer for Dark Souls 2. Like, I'm high fairly often. So sometimes I'll be like, maybe I'm just high and this doesn't look this good. But like, I think this looks fucking insane. Chat, am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. I mean, I'm posting this on my channel, so that's a stupid idea, but I think this looks crazy. I'm not done. I haven't done their armor yet. Their armor looks not great. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't have much specular response at all. And then on this wall surface, I think I have a little bit too much specular response, just a little bit. Yeah, like on this, you can see the light coming in from the sun. I gotta tweak that, but you see the vision. You see the vision. Yeah, I gotta prune back the grass a little bit there. No shot. This is Dark Souls 2 if you try to run past the enemies, which I love, but I know people get pissed off at this. This is what happens in Dark Souls 2 if you try to run past, and it's totally doable. You just have to understand how the enemies are going to attack you. Take your time. Take your time. Now, this is New Game Plus, so I'm pretty strong. Oh, okay, alright. I got a little greedy there. Oh, yeah. See, they give you delays on their attacks very specifically to align with the timings of Dark Souls 2's combat. And I think a lot of people missed that. Oh, he felt kind of weird, didn't he? I don't know what that was. It's early, I haven't woken up completely, and I need coffee. Oh, now here is a good instance of an existing foliage mesh that I don't love, and I don't actually think looks that good. Because you can see how they were designed. I think they look pretty bad, honestly. And so the nice thing about Lighting Engine is you can pick these original meshes that were there, not placed by me, and you can actually hide them. I don't think they look that good. So I'm going to hide the shit out of those, because I have better grass that I've stolen from other areas in the game. And now they're not there. They're still technically there, but the player won't see them, and they make no impact on the world. But, oh, yeah, oh, you're a bit... Okay, chat, I'm going to parry this guy. Eventually. 6 years from now. Your timings are crazy, big dog. You have, like, delays. Oh my god, he's quick. This is like Employee of the Month. Got him. Got him. I can happily announce. We got him. Chat, we got him. Anyway, thank you for watching, I guess. This was just me nerding about specular maps and, like, here's what I'm doing and here's what it looks like. So after I post this video, or maybe actually before I post this video, I'm going to upload the latest work on this mod that includes a lot of these armor textures you're seeing. There's so much armor I haven't done yet, though. But they still look pretty good. Like, they did a good job on this armor in the unmodded game. But I will be going through everything. It's going to take a while because I actually have to have the armor. I don't have a cool tool like DS1 where I can just spawn all the items for me. I've never been that successful at Dark Souls 2 of spawning items using cheat engine. Dark Souls 1, I have, there's tools, DSR gadget, DS gadget for Prepare to Die edition, but like, there's Dark Souls 2, I've never really had much success with cheat engine. I need to hit up Trivia and be like, hey, give me the deets. Let me spawn everything, because I do think it's a fun challenge of like having to play through the game and get all the armor sets and all, you know, but the difficult one is like the Ivory King set. Farming those Lois souls, oh my god, it's crazy. But anyway, thank you for watching. And if you'd like to support the mod, there are links below. If you'd like to download it, there's a link below. And yeah, thank you for watching.